In my hopium world, I try to spend more of my time talking about us and building us up and not so much time talking about him because I think he wants us to spend all of our time thinking about him and sort of trying to free ourselves from starting the day by thinking about him and them and their memes and their arguments. But there is one thing that he's been doing over the last couple of weeks that I still can't really believe, which is that over the last few weeks and even few months, he has been selling to his supporters coins that are Trump coins, Trump Bibles, Trump sneakers. There's a book, a commemorative book. He has a cryptocurrency now. He also has a meme stock, which has crashed. And all of that time that he's spending directing his community into those investments into him is money that's not going into the campaign. That money's not going in to help Republicans get elected. It's not, they're struggling. Last month, Kamala Harris outraised Donald Trump by more than 4 to 1. She raised $170 million. He raised $43 million. Incredible imbalance, incredible struggle to raise money because, in part, he's directing his supporters to put money into his pocket over the supporting of the GOP and him in this election. And I'm still sort of shocked that Republican politicians who are in these battleground races aren't complaining more about this. It's something that we've never seen before. It's an extraordinary thing. And to me, part of what it means is that in his head, it may mean that he thinks he's going to lose and that he's starting to hedge and he's trying to find ways to make sure that this grift of running for office, which has enriched him and his family over the last 9 years, it may be coming to an end. And so he's got to milk it as much as he can before, it all goes away. But it is one of the most, I think, depraved and insane parts of the Trump era is this ongoing, unbelievable fraudster grifting that has been so central to his entire rise over the last, generation of politics.
Yeah, no, I was actually interviewed by the New York Times reporter that did the story on how the Harris campaign has not only outraised the Trump campaign, but is outspending with a
Yeah.
massive, massive delta compared to the Trump campaign. And the question I kind of posed back to the reporter, it didn't make it into the story, but was like, like when you're convicted of this many crimes, right? We know that a lot of the money that his campaign has raised has had to go to his legal bills. We know that the number one reason that he is running for president again is to keep himself out of jail. And so when the reporter was asking about, why are their tactics different? Why aren't they spending as much online? They were the campaign that, outspend and sort of out strategized Democrats in 2016 online and with digital spending. I was like, he's got more pressing priorities and bills to pay, frankly. And so I don't know that I can channel as much of the hopium and optimism that he's just grifting now and thinks he's going to lose. I don't think he'll admit that he lost if and when he does
Yeah.
lose fair and square. But, their campaign is not in a strong position. It is still going to be a close race. We know that because of the way that the map is and the way the country is divided in terms of the folks who vote regularly. But truly, like, they're not running a strong campaign. And that's not to say for people to rest on their laurels because we have got to fight for every single vote. But I really do think that, they have a lot of other priorities in front of them. And he is like, I don't know whose quote it was I saw this past week, but it was something about, there's nothing worse than a very desperate salesman. And like that is essentially what Trump is, right? He is a desperate salesman right now, hawking all these products with his name on it, with these legal bills to pay and this, looming potential jail time, frankly. And so, I don't think that he thinks he has very much to lose, but if he loses this election, that is where he will end up. So who knows if that is what is driving the motivation.
Well, and I mean, what's important for people to realize is one of the reasons he's going to contest the election, and he needs to create a narrative and a story that allows a plausible contesting of the election, is because he raised hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in the months after the election, which all went into his pocket. He created a legal defense fund, of which very little money of that legal defense fund was actually spent on all the various lawsuits that he filed. And he made his family pocketed hundreds of millions of dollars off of him contesting the election in 2020, which is why he's going to do it again. I mean, it's unbelievable to even talk about this. It's so crazy, but it is important to recognize, and for people who may be tuning into the election, about just who he is, right? I mean, he is a rapist, a fraudster, a traitor, and a felon, 34 times felon. he is, more extreme. He has stripped the rights and freedoms away from the women of America. He has, it has been extraordinary what this guy has meant to the country. And it is time for it to come to an end. It is a time to turn the page. It is a time to move forward and not backward. All the things the vice president says.